All right, good afternoon. Welcome to today's Prospect Now webinar. I would probably plan about 40 minutes of time here today, and I think the topic we're going to go over is quite a timely one. I think this is a good time of the year to do a few things, and we've talked about these in the last few webinars in terms of preparing for the next year. And part of what we've talked about is preparing your database and finding the contacts that you need, preparing a plan to prospect for the new year and getting started early. And that's all well and good, right? You're going to plan out your business, you're going to plan out your goals for the year, and prospecting is a part of that, right? Now, there's a lot of ways to prospect, and most of them that I've seen in my experience, and I include myself in this, is pretty poor. I mean, I think that in general, people that sell and market for a living don't do a great job at prospecting, and there's a lot of reasons why this happens. And obviously, there's a lot of ways in terms of multi-channel to prospect these days. And I want to go over what I think the 5 reasons are, or the 5 top reasons why you're not getting responses. And what we're going to do is we're going to record today's webinar. We'll make that available to you tomorrow in a follow-up email that will include a link. So any of you that want to review what we go over today, you'll have the ability to do that. We'll also include a demo of the Prospect Now website and show you how you can find the contact information for commercial and property owners and their property information. And we'll talk to you about some of the things you can do next as well. So let's kind of move on here. By the way, we'll do a Q&A as well. So at the end of the webinar, we'll have that Q&A. But if you have questions that come up as we go through, just go ahead and locate that question box on your control panel and feel free to type those out to me, and we'll get to those at the end. Okay? So let me start off at a high level and talk to you about the 5 reasons why you're not getting responses. And these are really simple. And we're going to go high level first, and then I'll drill down and show you some best practices on how you can improve these things that you're doing wrong. Number 1, you're calling the wrong people. Okay. Number 2, your message is wrong. Number 3, your phone calls are not effective. Number 4, your voicemails are not being listened to. And number 5, your emails are not being opened. Okay. Now, frankly, the last 3 are a direct effect or direct result of the first 2 plus some other things, and we'll talk about that as well. So let's talk about why you're calling the wrong people. I think the biggest thing that I see is they don't define, or prospecting people don't define a target market. They think they do, and they do it in their mind, but in practice and in execution, they don't do that. And I would contend that you start with the smallest market possible. And let me tell you why that is, okay? Because if you start with the smallest market possible, they typically have very specific demographics, and there's a very specific problem, all of which you can create a very specific value proposition for. So find a group that you think what you have to offer is special. And I realize that most of you are in the investment sales piece, but obviously there's areas of specialization or areas that you like to focus in. But again, if you think of the pyramid or the funnel analogy, I think you want to start with the very smallest market possible and grow from there. You can expand after you gain traction, and I always believe that it's best to be a big player in a small market than expand from my perspective in commercial real estate, okay? And let me give you some examples of that, right? So you could be involved in 1031 exchange, right? Or you can look for triple net lease property owners, right? Or if you're doing leasing, you can do manufacturing lease specialist, right? So again, small market, you can just craft a single message and value proposition that addresses a common problem and a common demographic of this market and be successful there and grow from there. Okay? In terms of adding on to why you're calling the wrong people, it's also about how you approach that. You need to aggressively target your buyers. And what I mean by that is if you've created or identified this small target market, right? It's not good enough to know what they are and know who they are. You need to really research and know their businesses, know their industries, the properties they own, their interests, the things that are local and are interesting and could affect them, right? You need to know who you're calling. And I know that sounds very basic, but you'd be surprised how often people don't find the right person to call, okay? And then have a reason to call, right? Have a reason to call and make that very clear in your value statement. And it's very easy today to get and use intelligence, right? Whether it's social insights via Google or LinkedIn or on their business website or simply searching the internet looking for news feeds and articles, whether it's specific to the people you're calling or the specific person you're calling or something they have a common interest in, right? Because the idea, as you know, is to get their attention and get it quickly and express to them a value, something that you can help them solve their problem or take advantage of a situation or an opportunity they might have, okay? So let's kind of talk about that as well. Let's talk about why your message is wrong. And the most common one that I see is the message you craft as you talk to people, you tend to talk all about yourself. When in reality, it's not about, you, it's really about them. They frankly have no interest in you specifically until they understand that you can help them solve a problem that they have or capitalize on an opportunity that they perceive, right? So you need to think win-win, and you need to know what your value proposition is to this target audience. And I think it's really important to understand the mindset of the people that you're calling, right? And you set the tone very early, whether it's in any kind of communication, right? Whether it's an email, whether it's a voicemail, whether it's a direct live call with the person, right? So if you said something like, hi, my name is Mike with ABC Realty, do you have a few minutes? I think people are very conditioned to expect a sales pitch or to hear a long-winded explanation of why you're awesome, right? Opposed to, hello, Tom, maybe you can help me out for a moment, right? You're not asking for anything except for some help. And I'm a firm believer that people want to help people if they can help people, right? And Zig Ziglar said that whatever you want in life by helping others get what they want. So that's the mindset you need to have as you prospect. So how do we create an initial value proposition that you're going to communicate early in your prospecting media, whether that's email, voicemail, or a live call? Research their interests, and you have to remember, in my opinion, that real estate transactions they're really driven by business issues, right? They're not driven by emotional or other issues. So for example, in our business here, the strength of my business at Prospect Now will lead us to expand, right? not only in customers, but in employees. And as such, we would need more space and maybe a larger space, right? It doesn't work the other way around, right? I'm not going to go and get a huge space if my business doesn't call for it, right? So remember that. Some of those things that might be helpful to know are, for example, if you're calling on the owners of properties, how long have they owned the property? Are there tax implications? Maybe they've owned the property 22, 27 years, and some of those tax advantages are expiring. And some of the ways to get that message across very quickly in an initial call is, we'd like to share something with you, or we'd love to tell you what we have found in talking with investors just like you, right? So you're not asking them for anything. So it's not only, having that value proposition that's specific to them that's going to pique their interest, but it's also in how you deliver it, and as we discussed before, the mindset that you have going into the call. So let's look at a couple of examples, okay? Here's one that I think is not so good, but you hear it all the time. Hi, this is Steve from ABC Commercial Brokers. How are you today? We're the #1 commercial real estate firm here in the Silicon Valley. We're #1 in transactions and #1 in leases. We've revolutionized the brokerage industry. Is this something you might be interested in? So pause on that for a second. And now here's one that I think is good. Hi, this is Steve from ABC Commercial Brokers. I noticed that you purchased 123 Main Street over 20 years ago. The reason why I'm calling is I'd love to share with you how we've helped the owner of the building next door to you maximize his return on his investment. So if you look at these together on the screen, you can see one is all about me, the caller, which I frankly have no interest in whatsoever because it doesn't tell me what you're going to do for me or how you're going to solve my problem that I might not even know I have. But the second one creates a value proposition right up front that's relational to me, right? I probably know, if I've owned this building for 20 years, I probably know my next door neighbor personally, right? And I would love to know what you did to maximize his return on investment because, of course, that's something that every investor should be interested in, okay? A reminder here real quickly that we're going to have a Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions, go ahead and hit the question box on your control panel. So let's talk about calling and prospecting with phone calls now that we've created and identified a target market as well as a value proposition. So to me, the most effective phone call is one where you're earning the right to move to the next step in the sales process. So you're not focusing on trying to sell. You're just focusing on what that next step is. And I would propose to you this brief sales recipe on a call. It's first and foremost, know that you're going to have somewhere between 10 and 20 seconds to get your point across. And it needs to be relational, and it needs to have value, and it needs to be something that your caller is interested in. So introduce yourself. That's polite. Tell the person you're calling the reason for your call, and use that relational value statement. You need to demonstrate respect for time, and then to me, you just need to close on that next step. Their commitment to spend a few minutes with you, either on the phone or in person, okay? It's that simple. I want to stress to you that I do not believe in using any easy out questions or statements. And what do I mean by that? It's ones like this. Hi, do you have 5 minutes to talk? Right? You don't want them to answer no, so don't give them the opportunity. Hi, I'm Steve from ABC Realty. How are you today? That to me is just something you should never ask. You don't know this person doesn't know you, and it's just something that causes just unbelievably uncomfortable pauses in a conversation, okay? So what should it look like? Hi, Alan. Steve with ABC Commercial Real Estate here. So what am I doing? I'm identifying myself immediately, okay? The next step is, Alan, I'm sure you're busy and I want to respect your time, so I'll be brief. What does that do? That demonstrates respect for their time. The reason for my call is this. We just helped another commercial investor in your area gain the greatest possible return on investment for his properties. And I thought this might be important for you to know since this is a common goal of most investors. So what have you done? You've created a compelling reason to continue the conversation. There's no specificity of how the benefit was achieved, and the prospect only wants to know what to expect in the ensuing conversation. So you haven't talked anything about what you do. You've just talked about how you've given the reason for your call and what you want to do. Now the next one might go like this. You're probably wondering if we can do this for you too. That really depends on what you're currently doing, and I don't know if you have a need for our services. So to me, that lowers the prospect's resistance. They now know that, hey, I don't know if what I'm about to tell you is something you're even interested or could use, right? It just lowers their defense, and it lets them know you're not trying to force something upon them. With your permission, let's talk for a few minutes to determine if there's anything that we're doing that you can benefit from. This opens a dialogue, right? Not the monologue, not the presentation, not the slide deck. It's a question and answer session that allows you to determine this is something or someone you can help mutually, right? So this is your, ask to get to that next step. So are you comfortable spending just a few minutes right now if we can keep it brief? Again, it establishes a timeline. It allows you to take accountability for the length of the call, and it shows respect for the person's time. So, you may have bought way more than 5 minutes here, and you didn't even have to ask for it because 5 minutes on the phone is a long time with somebody that you don't even know. But you're asking for that up front, so don't ask. But what you do is you take a few seconds at a time to establish why you're calling, why it's important to them, how much time you're going to take, and you're showing respect along the way. And then have the conversation. Ask questions to uncover pain or uncover an opportunity for the prospect. Because this is really what you're getting to. This person may not be a prospect for you at all, right? But you will now know whether this person is or not after you talk to them just a little bit. And of course, listen, right? So when you ask the question or questions, just stop and let them answer. Before I go on to this, I want to ask a polling question here. So let me get to that real quickly. And I'd like to use the following. All right, if you can look on your screen, I'm going to launch this up real quickly. And if you just take a few seconds to answer this, that'd be great. So this question says, how do you best describe your business? Give you a few more seconds to answer that. And really the reason we ask these questions is it helps us to understand how best to give you the right content on our webinars, but also in certain cases, we're just asking for information that might help us give you a better product and something that you can use. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close that out. Appreciate that. and we're going to go ahead and move on. So what you'll see now here is we're going to talk about voicemails. And to me, voicemails are really simple. And we're not going to spend a lot of time on it, but I think it's really important. And I think the first question, which I didn't put up here, is should I leave a voicemail or not? And I know a lot of people that don't like to leave voicemails because they feel like, well, they don't listen to them anyway, and I really want to talk to the person live, and it's going to be my only chance. I personally don't agree with that. I think that anytime you can leave a value statement and a call to action in any form or fashion, and they can listen to it, it's good, as long as you do it properly, okay? So to me, as you craft a voicemail, it obviously needs to be short, but don't start with your name first. Do not. Do not say, "Hi, Bill, this is Steve Jones with ABC Realty." Because if they don't know who you are, they're going to delete the message, right? I don't know how many times I've been away or in a meeting or what have you, and you come back and there's 3 or 4 voicemails here, and you listen to them, and the first one says, "Hi, this is Jane with," I don't know Jane, 7. I just deleted it. "Hi, this is Bob with," delete. "Hey, hon, this is your wife." Okay, I'm going to listen to that one, right? So if they don't know you, they're going to delete the call. Or if you've left 5 of these messages already, "Hi, Bill. The reason for my call today, a lot of the investment property owners in your area maximize their investments that they've already put into their properties. Please give me a call if you have an opportunity. Here's my number, ABC Realty." So what have I done there? I've given them a value statement very quickly that caught their attention, if applicable, and allowed them to continue on to listen to the message. Of course I'd like to hear that. You're not asking for much. "Hey, if you have any questions, give me a call back," or feel free to her website here, and with this. So the next call, you can do the same thing, and they have to listen to it all again that time as well. Keep the voicemail under 30 seconds, and that's not very long, so you need to practice this. Don't sell, use a value statement. Don't reference failed attempts before. "Hey, Bill, this is Steve Jones at ABC Realty. I've left you a few messages, and I haven't heard back from you." Don't do that. Do not do that. And be different, right? Don't say the same thing says, and trust me, you learn that from hearing other people leave voicemails for you. So take the time to write something out that's short, that has value, and is different than other people's. That's all we're going to do on voicemail because I think it's really, really simple. Let's talk about emails, okay? Actually, I want to ask you another poll question really quickly here. And I want to see if you guys are using any kind of a CRM here. So if you have a database that you have a favorite of, then go ahead and fill that in here. All right, I'll leave this open for a few more seconds. All right, thank you so much for voting. I'm going to share this one with you actually because I think it's an interesting question and an interesting set of answers. So when I look at this and I see 62% of you either said none or an Excel spreadsheet, I frankly would consider that none. So the preponderance of you don't have a database that you're using, some sort of contact manager. Um, I think it's really important that you do for a lot of reasons, right? It gives you a place to put everything. It makes you more efficient. And prospecting is all about efficiency. And frankly, there's no reason not to, right? There are cloud versions of CRMs out there that are very inexpensive and highly useful. And for example, Prospect Now has a built-in CRM that you can use that comes with your subscription. So frankly, there's no reason not to do it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and let's go on here real quickly. So on emails, uh, one of the things that we talked about is emails just don't get opened, right? And there's a lot of ways to measure this, and I'll kind of share with you some of the tools that we use here, for example. But really the goal of a cold email is to get it read, right? That's the goal. So first and foremost, remember, you earn your way to the next step every step of the process, right? So the goal of your first sentence is to get the second sentence read. And you need to persuade the reader to read the next one all the way to the close. So because of that, there's a specific structure that I would like to share with you. In terms of subject lines, use their name when it makes sense. And be specific as possible. The more personal you make the subject line, the higher the open rate is. And read the subject line to yourself. Does it sound like a marketing email? And if it does, then it is. The following, I'm going to share with you some subject lines, and these will get you an open rate of 35% or more, okay? And the industry standard for open rates on email is a little over 10%. So that's what you're dealing with. Introduction, name. So if the person you're looking to reach is John Smith, it's introduction, John Smith. John Smith, quick request. John Smith, trying to connect. Or Ellen, your property at 123 Main Street, Los Altos, California. This is on an almost 100% open rate because you're using their name and you're using their property address, both of which is very personal to them, obviously. And remember, you're not trying to sell anything on your subject line. The subject line is only used to get yourself to the next step, get them to open the email. Email copy, be brief, give context, tie it to the subject line. Have a value proposition. This is going to sound really repetitive, but it's really, really true. Hi, Alan. My name is Steve with ABC Commercial Real Estate, and I'd love to share with you how we've helped your name maximize their investment in commercial property. What's the best way to get 10 minutes on your calendar, right? Introduction. Here's what I want to share with you. It shows value to them. The ask or the call to action that you give them, and you only give them one. Don't give them 3 options. Give them one and make it an easy ask. Oh, all he wants is 10 minutes, and I get to know he's going to share with me how he's helped others maximize their investment in commercial property. Okay, I can deal with that. Another way, or not another way, but other things you ought to do is get feedback, right? Show your emails to current clients you already have and ask questions. I want to show you something, Bob. Would you reply to this if you got it in your email box? Why not? Or why would you? What stands out to you? What's unclear on this email? And more importantly, what would you change? A couple of other tips for you. Don't carpet bomb. Set a number, call it 100, send 100 a day. And the reason you want to do that is twofold. First of all, you want to find out what works. And if you do your entire database at once, first of all, I question whether or not you have one message that appeals to your entire database. I think not. But second, and more importantly, is find out what works, but also have enough resources to follow up immediately. Let's say you drafted the perfect email that everyone responds to, or you get that 35% open rate, which leads to a 10% response rate. Let's say you get 10 phone calls that day, it drops, right? Make sure that you can get to all 10 of those people on a very timely basis. I want you to examine metrics. The open rate benchmark ought to be greater than 25%. The response rate ought to be around 3%, and always, phone response rates are always going to be higher than anything else. Okay, just know that. The most and the best bang for your buck is always picking up the phone and calling the right people. Okay, so how do I measure this? There's a few things out there. There's a product called Yesware, and there's a free version, there's a paid version, and it allows you to send email from your current email program, and it will track people's responses, how many people opened, who opened, when they opened it, how many times they opened it, where they opened it, was it on a mobile device, was it on their desktop, and you can examine and measure these things. And it's really, really important. So iterate. Try different subject lines, try different email bodies, experiment, and always measure, right? A/B test things. Send one subject line to the same audience, send a different one to that same audience the next week at the same time on the same day, and see what kind of response you get. One last slide, and then we're going to wrap it up and go into a demo. Actually, that's not true, but I'll show you a demo. 5 more things you're not doing. Number 1, you're not responding immediately. Studies show that if you drop something in an email, a voicemail, and someone returns your call or your email, if you can respond within the first 5 minutes, you have 100 times response rate chance of reaching and having a discussion with that person. Okay? So it's recency is everything. You need to be persistent. It takes 6 to 9 touches to a contact to reach them or get a response. You need to optimize your efforts by testing your messaging, like we talked about. And when you're calling, you need to call at the right time. And this kind of differs between industries. So, but really, if you're calling business to business, then 8 to 9 a.m. and 4 to 5 p.m. any day of the week is best and is better than any other time during the day. And Wednesdays and Thursdays are the absolute best days to call. So ergo, 8 to 9 a.m. and 4 to 5 p.m. on Wednesdays and Thursdays are absolutely the best. But I will tell you that calling every day will pay dividends for you. Okay? So let me go into, we're going to launch into a demo here in just a moment. But those of you that don't know who we are, I just want to share a couple of things with you about why we exist and how we help you. So we are here in the Silicon Valley. We are rapidly growing and we're profitable in operations today. And we have over 3,000 paid users all over the United States. And these users vary from commercial investment people to commercial banking to other types of industries that sell to the owners of commercial properties. Okay, so we're basically 100% year-over-year growth and rapidly expanding. The advantages we give you are the single source of property detail, owner names, mailing addresses, phone numbers, and email addresses for these properties. Tenant information, all included and with the ability to use an intelligent and an intuitive search by building an owner demographic. Okay? What this gets you is a rapid targeting of likely sellers and buyers. It all comes integrated with a set of productivity tools like a dialer, direct mail tools, and a built-in CRM. And you benefit from this by the compression of research time. So the time it takes for you to do the upfront research to figure out who you're going to call is greatly reduced. So it makes your prospecting time much more efficient, and it will actually create time for you to prospect. Because in all the years I've been doing this, the number one reason people say they don't prospect is because they say they don't have enough time. And that's just a recipe for disaster. It's a recipe for going out of business. It gets you into more conversations, which obviously become leads and meetings and listings and sales and more money for you, okay? So Prospect Now exists because of a vision that a commercial broker had, Steve Wayne, about building a database of prospects to market to. And what he discovered was it was a very onerous, time-consuming, and expensive process that had to be done continually to have any positive effect whatsoever. So whether you're looking for property addresses, LLCs, looking for the owner names, and getting the contact information, and you need loan information, and let's say you even need distressed properties, or you're doing leasing, so you're looking for businesses by industry code and location, and you need to know the company information and the sales history on the property. It's just a lot of work, right? And you have to do it at a scale that allows you to have any chance of success by using mass marketing. So you need to have a sufficient sized database to make a difference. So that takes time, it takes money. A lot of people that have done this and been successful at it have hired people to do this, and that's all they do, right? What Prospect Now gets you is instant access to millions of potential sellers, right? So you get true owner contact information, phone numbers, email addresses, property, and their mailing address. You can do things like search by financial information and property information for over 300, not 100, 300 million properties nationwide now, including residential. We will dig behind the entities that are on the title and get you the true owner name, all with built-in contact management and direct mail automation and even a dialing automation, so that this becomes a prospecting suite that you never need to leave during your prospecting process. You can do everything from search to find to call to mail to put into a database, and you can do it all in Prospect Now. So let's go ahead and show you a demo. And you can see here, this is Prospect Now. And just real quickly, there's a bunch of stuff you can do here. You can search for properties using an advanced search here. You can search for tenants and businesses here. And here is the built-in contact manager that you can store the properties, the owners, and make notes and set up appointments and everything you would normally do in a contact manager. What I'm going to show you here is a guided search here that allows you to rapidly use a wizard to find the properties you're looking for and their owners. So if you remember back to what I said early on in the presentation about defining your target market, Prospect Now allows you to define that small target market with that commonality, the same business problem, very rapid as the subset or the supersets that subset belongs to, okay? So I would simply click here, like this. And this is going to take me through a series of questions that allows me to get to the properties and owners that I want. So now it's going to ask me where I'd like to search. This is the county that I'm subscribed to. But you can choose any state, any county you have coverage in. Then I can choose city, zip codes. I can choose a radius around a specific address, or even search an area on a map. I'm just going to use cities in this case. And now I can further refine my search and search in any city or group of cities that I wish. I'm just going to go ahead and search through the entire county. Now you can choose the property type, right? So you can be as broad as commercial or industrial or multifamily or residential, or you can pick a subset or a group of subsets within. In this case, I'm going to choose, let's choose commercial office and hit next. And then you can, we can do some shortcuts. So I want to find potential sellers. Notice here, as we go, it's refining our search. So we're down to 5,250 results. So let's say I want to look for out-of-state owners that have loans coming due, or maybe just loans coming due. 202 results, okay? But I can look for out-of-state owners if I wanted to, or owners with multiple properties. That would be kind of cool, right? Or properties that are in distress. Or I can use any sort of financial data, sales date, in this case, loan date, or the property characteristics here, okay? I want to show you this feature, likely sellers. What does that mean, okay? Prospect now knows all of the sales that happen across the country as they happen. And we've been running deep data analytics on all of our properties for the last year. So we're able to predict which properties are most likely to sell, right? So talk about looking for the proverbial needle in a haystack. Let's click on that and see what happens. 80 results, okay? So if you were to go down here and say, show me owners with multiple properties whose properties are likely to sell, what a search that is. So now I'm going to click next. And now I can save this search, name it, and call it back up at any time if I wish. I'm just going to go ahead and skip that for now. And now you're going to get your results. All right, here we go. So what you'll see here is the results displayed on a map that you can interact with. You can move this around or click on a building, right? You can also see them displayed in a list view as well, okay? And this list view is configurable, so you can move things around, hide things, show things, whatever you want, okay? So we can go through here and take a look, you know, and look for a property, look for a building. And so, for example, if I wanted to go to, I don't know, let's just pick one of these. And you can see here where the property is. If you can see this tab in the upper right-hand corner, see the type of property, how large it is, when it was built, when it was purchased, what the loan amount was, who the lender was. You can see the assessed value, all of that information. You can also see the owner information by clicking here, right? So in this case, it was an LLC, Israel 26 LLC. You can get the tax mailing address. This is the most effective mailing address. And because this was an entity that took title, we've gone behind that and gotten the managing general partner's name here. You should be able to see the tenants in the building, as well as any sales history in the last 10 years. Okay? Let's go back to the owner tab, and let's look at, see if we can get a phone number. So there you go. We have found the phone number for the owner on title of this property. And there it is. And remember, I told you that there's a built-in CRM and a dialing tool. If you have the dialing tool enabled, all you have to do is click on this number, and it will dial and connect you directly to this person. Now, it's ringing. I'm going to hang this up because I don't want to just bother this person. So now that I've done that, I can now put in some notes and save this to my contact manager. Remember, I told you that's included in your subscription with Prospect Now. I can even set up a follow-up task, give a call result, and when I log the call, this saves the property, the owner information, and my notes into the contact manager here. And because I asked to set a task, it's asking me to complete that task now. I can write it to do, give it a status, give it a due date, and let's say if they want me to call back on Thursday, and I can save that, and now I have a task that it will appear on my calendar. And now what it's done is it's gone to the very next record, and you can place that call, or you can go to the next one, okay? So what have we done there? Let's kind of recap that real quickly, right? We identified a very targeted list of, of, of audience, of prospects, by state, by county, by city, by property type, found owners that own multiple properties that are likely to sell based on our analytics, based on real history of properties in this particular county. And we've displayed those to you. Now, of course, they're not all going to sell, and it's not 100%, but the idea is to get you to a group that you're going to spend most of your time with and most of your energy trying to reach to, because they're likely targets, right? We got the list. We looked up the owner information. We placed a phone call. We connected. We saved notes. We created a task. We put everything in the contact manager and went on to the next one to call. All within Prospect Now, without going anywhere else, all within just a few minutes. Okay, so you can see the effect that Prospect Now has on your prospecting time. It greatly reduces it. It gives you all the tools you need to go out and prospect. Now I'm going to do a couple more demos to show you some other things as well. So I'm going to go back to the guided search. Oh, by the way, let me do this real quick poll, and it's this one. Remember, I just told you that we have this predictive analytics. We can tell you which properties are most likely to sell. Again, it's not a guarantee, but this is based on our gathering all the sales information across the country, and we're looking and analyzing the information as it comes in and looking for indicators in terms of which property sold and why, and then we apply that to all the properties, and we identify the ones that most closely match that, and you get presented with that. So the question is, if we're able to provide this to you, would you subscribe to us today? All right, I'm just going to give you a few more seconds and I'll share that. Thank you so much. That really helps us. Let me go on to another demo here real quickly. And so in this one, let's say you're looking for, let's take a look here. What do I want to do? Let me think about this. We just did sellers. Oh, I know. Let's say you want to look for a buyer. Let's say you have a listing, okay? This is really easy. Let's go back to the guided search. Let's build a list of properties. Let's say you have a listing and you want to advertise the listing, okay? So wherever you're at, let's go there. And this time, let's do a search around a radius around an address. This is really, really cool, by the way. So I'm going to set a 3-mile radius around this address here just for fun. 201 Main Street. Okay. There we go. I'm going to go next. And let's say that let's think about this here. Let's say you have a commercial, what do I want to look for? I don't know, maybe it's multifamily. Let's do that. Oops, what did I just do? Let's say you have a multifamily listing here, and the idea here is you want to find people that, for example, may have an interest in buying your property, right? So to me, that might be someone that already owns a like property. So let's say you have a multifamily property, that was the address, and I want to find every multifamily property that's 5 units and up that are out-of-state owners in a 3-mile radius around my listing, okay? And it is thinking, and there you go. So just like that, within just a few seconds, we were able to find 14 owners that own a like property in a 3-mile radius around your listed property, okay? This list is small enough where you can pick up the phone and call. However, what you could do, and what many people do, is they get a listing and they want to let people know by a postcard. So we have this built-in direct mail tool called Send Mail. So you simply choose who you want to be the recipients, click on Send Mail, and now you can do several things here. You can create a letter that we can send, or you can print and send, or a postcard that we can professionally print and send for you as well. And we're going to do that. All right. So now I've got this postcard. I'm going to name it something. I want to send a 4x6, and I'm going to click Next. Now there's an upcharge of $1 for each one of these. But if you think about what you would have to do to get one created, postage, sent, time, this is way easier. So now what I can do is I can actually put the image of the property on the front of the page. So I'm going to go to, I think I have something on my desktop here. Probably should have prepped for this. So let's go here. And now I'm uploading a picture of the property that's going to be the front of the postcard. So there it is. Now, when I go to Next, here I can actually grab some information and put it on here. Now, this may not be appropriate, but it actually is. So now what I've done is I said, there's a multifamily property for sale. Here's the price. Here's how many units. You know, here's the type of it is. Here's the cap rate and the gross rent multiplier, right? And then you're just going to put your company name, your name, your address, right? And now you can see you have the entire view of this here. And now let's preview what we've created. And there it is. And so now this is a 4x6 postcard that you can send that notifies very specific potential buyers of your listing, right? Because they have proximity, they have wherewithal, they own multiple units of the same type of property, right? To me, it makes sense. And then you can hit send, and that will be taken care of for you, okay? So there's a prospect now where you have listings and you want to find potential buyers to market to, and you can do that from within Prospect Now itself, okay? So we're going to wrap up here and go to Q&A, but before we do that, I want to ask you one more question, okay? So now you know that Prospect Now is this website that allows you to find the ownership information of every commercial and residential property in the United States with their phone numbers and contact information. You're going to live in that thing as you do your prospecting. You can do your direct marketing. You can do your calling. If you're logged in, what kind of notifications would be important to you? So just imagine you're working your prospect now, and a little pop-up comes up and says, this property just changed ownership. This owner just changed his phone number. This property was added to Santa Clara County. This property is now listed for sale or lease. Choose 1, 2, 3, or all of the above. Just a few more minutes and we'll wrap it up and you can go to lunch or dinner. All right, excellent. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. So let's go ahead and get back to this very quickly, and we'll summarize and we'll let you go. So let me summarize this real quickly, right? So what we've done here is talk to you about what you're doing wrong and how you can fix it. Emails, in summary, get personal, be brief, and pitch value. If you're cold calling, warm them up first, demonstrate respect, share value, and create a conversation. And whatever you do, use feedback and iteration to learn what you're doing and what works and what doesn't work. Target relentlessly. You didn't have to go and create a target list that had 14, but let me tell you something. If you were picking a needle in a haystack, you're going to want to know where to start. And to me, those are the ones that you start with first, and then you gradually grow back. In fact, the best practice that I would consider you doing would be that highly targeted search. You pick up the phone and call. You relax that search a little bit to give you more property owners, but still in your sweet spot, and you can email or direct mail to those. And then you can even create a larger superset that may have a few things that aren't quite spot on. Maybe it's geographically related, maybe it's vertical related, and you can email those. So using multiple channels of prospecting really will pay dividends, because some of those are very low cost and very low time intensive, and so you can use those to your advantage and spend your time